The movie starts with a tired soldier named Mickey, who's on vacation with his family. He brings his two children, Jack and Jane, to his brother Noah's house in the American forest. Mickey's wife, Sophie, takes on the role of driving during the trip because Mickey is exhausted from his recent military duty. Not long after, they reach Noah's house in the middle of the forest, hoping for a nice vacation. However, it doesn't turn out to be pleasant, especially for Jane. When Mickey and Sophie enter the house, they're shocked to find it in a messy state, as if it was left intentionally dirty. Mickey tries to stay positive, thinking Noah might have been really drunk. But as Jack leads Jane inside, they're hit by a terrible smell, probably coming from the scattered food trash. While exploring the house, Jane feels proud of her dad's military lineage. She discovers that not only her dad, but also her grandfather and great-grandfather served in the military, as shown by various photos and inheritance in the house. Even Noah, who lives there, is a soldier. This inspires Mickey to follow in their footsteps and become a soldier too. And he's not just any soldier. He's a retired Special Forces soldier, known and feared by 9 major countries. That night, Jane keeps complaining to her parents because she doesn't like the vacation spot. Mickey reminds his children to be grateful, but he realizes that both of them had hoped for a vacation at the beach or in the mountains. However, Mickey had just retired from the military, so he chose to vacation at Noah's house to honor their family's military tradition. The next day, Mickey visits his dad's and grandfather's graves near Noah's house. Despite their respected military service, they were buried simply, without any ceremony. During the day, Mickey plans a different experience for their vacation, which is learning to shoot. Little does he know that someone has been watching his family all along. Mickey focuses on teaching Jack while being affectionate with Sophie. Unfortunately, Jane isn't interested in learning to shoot and is still upset about the vacation. She goes to her room and vents her frustration by yelling at her mom, who tries to calm her down. As night falls, Jack gets puzzled because the TV in the living room won't turn on. Mickey figures something out and tells his kids to go to their rooms. To their surprise, the TV is a fake, and behind it is a safe filled with the family's treasures and important documents dating back to World War II. Mickey's family had hidden these items to keep them safe. Meanwhile, Jack is shocked when he finds something under the bed and rushes to tell his dad. Mickey checks the room and is greatly surprised to discover Noah's lifeless body under the bed. He quickly urges his family to leave the house. At the same time, a car is approaching from the end of the road, so they are forced to return inside. Mickey tells his family to stay hidden inside while they wait for the car to leave. But by morning, the car is still there. Mickey and Sophie stay up all night, armed. Unexpectedly, several other cars visit their house, prompting Mickey to venture outside to find out who has come. To their surprise, there were 12 soldiers who had served on a team with Mickey during a previous war. They told Mickey that they had come to search for his family's treasures and inheritance. They gave him some time to find these valuable items in the house and hand them over. After learning their intentions, Mickey and Sophie needed a new plan to keep the soldiers from leaving the house. However, Mickey realized the house was heavily guarded, and if he tried to leave, his family would be in danger. After waiting for a while, Mickey saw one soldier stretching his arm, so he seized the opportunity to lead his family out while carrying the 2 bags with their valuables. Mickey's family vacation had turned chaotic, and they couldn't leave the area. Mickey had to take his family into the woods to hide. Meanwhile, the soldiers hadn't realized that Mickey had escaped, and it took them an hour to figure it out. Meanwhile, Mickey and his family had ventured deep into the woods. Luckily, Mickey found a place to rest and hide. Later, he intentionally buried the 2 bags of inheritance in a secure spot. On the other hand, the soldiers were planning to track down Mickey and held a meeting. They assigned tasks for the pursuit in the woods. Most of the soldiers were young, but seemed well-trained and experienced. Unexpectedly, Mickey returned and saw the meeting taking place. Unexpectedly, one of the soldiers was threatened by their leader, a man named Kane, for not following orders. Initially, the other soldiers thought Kane was joking and found it amusing. However, when their laughter subsided, a soldier named Franco promptly stabbed the one threatened by Kane to death. This shocked all the soldiers, and they no longer found Kane's actions amusing. From that point on, nobody dared to defy Kane, or Franco would kill them. Mickey quickly returned to his family and explained that they couldn't go home just yet. He couldn't let the soldiers have their way, and fighting back was the only option. Mickey then decided to confront the soldiers on his own, one by one. While the remaining soldiers searched the woods, they spread out to cover more ground and tried to limit Mickey's movements. They were trying to trap him and make it difficult for him to move freely. At one point, Mickey encountered a soldier with exceptional camouflage skills, but Mickey swiftly took him out. Mickey then grabbed a communication radio and responded to Kane's messages. He claimed that there were still 10 people left, and he would eliminate them soon. Meanwhile, Jack had the idea of following his dad, despite having little experience with shooting. Sophie tried to stop Jack, but luckily, Mickey returned and Jack abandoned his plan. As night descended, Mickey allowed his family to rest. However, they couldn't shake off their worry and unease about Mickey, who had once again ventured into the woods on his hunt. In the end, Jack decided to follow his father because Jane couldn't stop worrying about him. Meanwhile, Mickey moved with the skill of an assassin, and Sophie eventually couldn't hold Jack back any longer. Jack feared for his father's safety. During that night, Mickey successfully took down another soldier. The next day, Kane's group discovered their comrade's body. Kane and his team were rattled by the number 9 carved on the corpse's chest, signaling that only 9 of them remained. Kane ordered his team to be even more vigilant in their pursuit of Mickey. As Jack kept walking through the forest without finding Mickey, Mickey himself was by a small river washing his face. At that moment, memories of a dark incident during his time in Afghanistan came flooding back. He remembered how one of his fellow soldiers had brutally killed innocent civilians, sparing only a woman and her daughter. When Mickey had tried to intervene and save the woman, his teammate had seen him as a traitor. This haunting memory had made Mickey realize that even humans were capable of great cruelty. He had failed to protect that woman, and it was a regret he carried with him throughout his life. Now, some of his former comrades from that time, Kane and Franco, were hunting him down, intending to steal his family's treasures. Filled with anger and a desire for revenge, Mickey managed to eliminate one of Kane's men once again. Shortly after, another soldier arrived, and Mickey used the one he had ambushed as a shield. He continued to evade gunfire, taking cover behind several trees, and ultimately succeeded in ambushing the second soldier from behind. Surprisingly, when Mickey faced a female soldier, he decided not to use weapons, even though the woman had a strong build. They engaged in a fierce hand-to-hand battle, but Mickey managed to defeat her by pushing her against a tree trunk. Before long, Kane and his team arrived at the scene and found the dead female soldier. They quickly realized that they were up against an extraordinary opponent. Mickey once again marked the number 7 on the dead soldier, indicating that there were 7 people left in Kane's group. After some time, Kane and his team resumed their pursuit and nearly stumbled upon Jack. Thankfully, Mickey came to the rescue, and he told Jack to distract one of the soldiers while he swiftly dealt with another soldier patrolling the lake. The soldier had no idea that Mickey was hiding in the water. When the moment was right, Mickey launched a surprise attack. They had another intense fight, but Mickey managed to grab a pistol from the lake's bottom and shot the soldier. Afterwards, Mickey collected several weapons and started searching for Jack. Meanwhile, Sophie and Jane got worried because Mickey and Jack hadn't come back. Unfortunately, Jack found himself trapped by one of the soldiers. Even Sophie and Jane were captured by Stan and Franco and taken to Noah's house. Mickey was able to rescue Jack, but then he found out that Sophie and Jane had been captured. To make things worse, Kane planned to harm Sophie and Jane. Mickey was furious and quickly dealt with the soldier who had attacked Jack before heading to Noah's house. Meanwhile, Stan initially disagreed with Kane's plan to harm Jane and Sophie, but Kane grew furious and shot him. A little later, Mickey radioed that he'd be arriving soon and warned Kane not to do anything reckless. However, Kane and Franco paid no attention to Mickey's warning, which only made Mickey angrier. He started sprinting toward Noah's house and swiftly took out 2 more of Kane's men. Eventually, Mickey reached Noah's house. Kane was surprised and baffled by Mickey's lightning-fast moves. Afterward, Kane and Franco brought Sophie and Jane outside as hostages. Mickey started negotiating, saying he'd reveal where he'd hidden the treasure bags. However, Kane insisted that only one person could be released before Mickey handed over the bags. Mickey had no choice but to make a difficult decision. He chose to release Sophie, leaving Jane in Kane's custody. Despite the situation, Mickey stayed composed and told Sophie to go back to their original hiding spot where Jack was waiting. After Sophie left, Kane ordered Franco to follow Mickey to the location where the heirloom bags were hidden. As they walked through the forest, Franco began to torment Mickey. Meanwhile, Jane was taken back into the house and subjected to continued harassment by Kane. In the end, Mickey and Franco reached the location, and Mickey immediately revealed the hidden treasure bags. But when Franco let his guard down, Mickey fought back fiercely. Mickey's anger grew even stronger because Franco was the one who had mistreated him during their time in Afghanistan. At the same time, Jane reluctantly consented to Kane's advances and started sitting on his lap. On the flip side, Mickey and Franco were locked in a heated battle, but within just 2 seconds, Mickey managed to turn the tables. Mickey's inherited intelligence and combat skills allowed him to defeat his former comrade. Mickey swiftly subdued Franco, and the fight ended with Mickey stomping on Franco's face until he died. Meanwhile, Jane had managed to outwit Kane and escape. Kane chased after her and eventually captured her. By that time, Mickey had arrived, and he had to comply with the situation for Jane's safety. However, Kane was already furious because Jane had deceived him and Mickey had killed Franco. Kane struck Jane unconscious, triggering Mickey's explosive anger. In the end, Mickey and Kane had an intense fight. At first, Mickey was struggling because Kane was younger and stronger. He was nearly killed by Kane, but then Mickey had to give up when he saw that Kane had a gun and was about to shoot him. Luckily, Sophie managed to shoot Kane in the chest from behind before he could shoot Mickey. Mickey quickly finished off Kane to ensure he was dead. Jane woke up shortly after, feeling shocked for a moment. After these events, Mickey gave Noah a proper burial. Mickey felt grateful because he had been reunited with his family unharmed, and the family's inheritance and treasures remained safe and untouched. And that's how the movie ends. Moral lesson from the story: don't hide your family treasures behind a fake TV. You might accidentally start a forest treasure hunt with your family and a bunch of soldiers who have terrible map reading skills.